I got up at 4 AM to take street photos in the rain on the streets of Seoul, South Korea, and these were the results. Welcome back to the channel. This is a video that I've been waiting to make for quite a long time because this is probably one of my better or one of my best photo shoots that I've done for the past 2 years. I got so many decent photos, some really nice photos that I'm fairly happy with, fairly proud of, and it's just a culmination of everything because I was due to leave the country, at least for the time being, in just a couple of days. So this was the last opportunity to take these kind of photos, and everything finally just kind of came together, and I was able to pull off what I wanted to do during my stay in the city, photography wise. And it was just a really enjoyable street photography session. Usually don't do it at 4 AM, but I had to do it now because again it was my last opportunity, and I'm so happy that I sacrificed the sleep and the comfort and just went out and took those photos. It's probably going to be a bit of a longer video because I have so much footage and so many photos to share, but in any case, I hope you guys enjoy it. It is like 4:45 AM. Last chance to shoot rain before I have to leave Korea, so I am heading out. Tell you a secret, usually this is my bedtime, so I'm not too tired. We're gonna shoot until sunrise. Let's see what happens. So yeah, it is pretty nice out here. Still dark. Maybe for an hour. Raining quite hard. Not too cold. It's been way colder recently. Now it's like 8 degrees Celsius. It's manageable. Put my Sony here. Pretty cozy in the bag. Normally I wouldn't bring so much gear, but you know, there was some film that I wanted to finish, and it was my last day in the city, so you know, I took a little bit more than usual. Anyway, you're about to see the first two photos that I took of the night. First photos that I took when I stepped out of the hotel room, and you can already tell it's going to be a great night because of the amount of rain is making this really nice, colorful, glowing effect on the pavement. For a moment I was a bit concerned that there might not be enough people around at this time of the day, but then I realized it's almost 5 AM and the people are already heading to work, so there's not a big problem finding subjects to photograph. I'm just trying to capture all of the lighting scenarios as well as the feeling of the commute, any stories that I can find, but to be honest, the photos do get a little bit better at the end of the shoot, as always is the case. I took like 1,000 photos on this day. To be honest, when you take that many photos, it's kind of overwhelming to edit them. Even I'm still kind of editing them as I'm going through this YouTube video because it's finally giving me a reason to edit all of them. If you see my other videos, you might find these scenes familiar, but don't worry, we're also going to cover some new ground today as well. This is so cool here. Very cool. Although, just photographing all scenes but in different light and different times of day can also be interesting and exciting, and I definitely recommend doing that as well. But the light looks very different at this time of day, and as soon as I saw that, I immediately had to start photographing it. I mean, this is such a Blade Runner-esque scene, very easy to take cool photos here. But the light does not look like this during the daytime or during regular night times. It only looks like this. The only time I've seen it like this is during this very early morning. So again, I'm glad I came out, and I'm glad I didn't hesitate to go to the same places as well. This place is so goddamn photogenic that even if I stopped the photo shoot right after these photos, I would already consider this a successful photo shoot, at least comparing to most of my previous photo shoots in the country. But the best thing is that we're not even getting started. Because I passed by this famous bus stop from my previous video where I spent like an hour shooting photos and where I've shot many photos, I couldn't resist taking a couple photos here in the morning as well, and these are pretty cool. I mean, they are with a different camera, different focal length, but we're not gonna spend too much time in this exact same location because everywhere that I look is looking so photogenic, and we're about to discover some areas very close by that I never really knew that existed. These really cool alleys. Never knew about this place before. It is quite gorgeous. Very beautiful. This is probably the most photogenic alley that I've seen in the entire city so far, especially in this amount of rain. Not enough people. This like photographing a set of Blade Runner, it's really easy to take photos here. I took a couple of token shots, but because of the lack of subjects, I kept exploring deeper into the alleys. There's also the looming sunrise. I didn't want to waste the darkness, but we would return to this location just a little bit later to try and perfect the photos. There's a certain unique vibe to taking photos this early in the morning. It's something that I definitely want to do more of. I guess the challenge is getting up so early, but especially combined with the weather, the early morning commute or late night work, as the mix of nightlife and regular life combining all the stories that are possible, the extremely moody feeling the rain gives the scene. It's no wonder that I started to feel like there was a photo to be taken around every single corner. I mean, just look at the lights everywhere, the amount of light, neon lights, LED lights. It is so cool, all the lighting scenarios. Of course, some of these establishments sketchier than others and riskier to take photos of. I mean, you don't want to snap a photo of someone coming out of a massage establishment, especially at this hour of the night. It's a good way to get chased. Or if you do it, you gotta be very subtle about it. But yeah, what can I say? I was really being blessed with an incredible amount of photogenic alley after alley. This street with the W Hotel or whatever that W is was a cool background. I like having a big building in front of an alley, and then by this point in the morning there was all of a sudden so many more people waking up, heading for work, that there was no longer any problem finding subjects even in these more narrow, less popular alleys. Here's a couple of photos that are red, illuminated only by this little guard railing bar thingy. I don't know what to call it. But any kind of a lighting scenario I'm drawn to like a moth. And then at one point I discovered this bus terminal, this brand new bus terminal that I never discovered before. And you know that bus terminals are like crack for me. Better than crack even, because I don't smoke crack personally. No offense if you do, it's just not really my kind of drug. But anyway, I had to try to go and photograph the early morning commute at this bus terminal. This very definitely came in handy having two cameras. These first few wider angle shots are with the Ricoh GR3, but then the Sony also came in handy for taking these more close-up shots of the people inside of the buses. Even though it's very clear which one's the better camera, it is the Sony. It's difficult to beat the utility of the Ricoh because you can just slip it in the pocket without even having to put it in a bag. I was looking for steamy buses with steamy windows. Not every bus is steamy though, and it's sometimes a little bit difficult to predict where exactly the steamy bus will stop and arrive. You gotta be in the right place at the right time, so even though it looks like there may potentially be good shots all around you, there's always something that is going a little bit wrong. Or even if you do get the shot, oftentimes there's just a sticker in the wrong spot, kind of ruining the composition. And then you can of course always try and clone it out, but it's better to try to catch clean shots. But yeah, I definitely always get distracted by bus stops, and this time I'm glad I did, because definitely did add a couple of really nice moody storytelling shots of the early morning bus ride to work. By this point, there are so many more people out that I decided to head back to those alleys that we left earlier in the day. And that was a really great decision, because the next 20-minute stretch, I produced probably my favorite images of the entire trip. I'm so tired, cold, but I'm glad I came out. It's so photogenic. I'm shooting with both cameras here, the Ricoh and the Sony. Pulling out the Ricoh when I want a wider angle, which suits these kind of narrower alleys somewhat better than the 55 of the Sony. It's just on the limit of what the Ricoh can handle in terms of low light performance. I've got my Ricoh set up in a way where my maximum auto ISO is 4000 ISO, and I'm shooting at 1/25th of a second wide open naturally. Some of these, the performance is fine. Others, it's slightly too dark. I did not have the presence of mind to drop the shutter speed on the Ricoh, because there was just too much to focus on with trying to vlog, trying to switch cameras, holding 3 cameras at once, and then trying to compose the most photogenic scene of all time. I'm just gonna let this play for a little bit. You get a little bit of POV photography without my narration. I don't like camera straps because they always make the camera bounce around, so I'm holding my Sony on this Peak Design thing on my hip, on a holster thing. So definitely I'm like an autistic camera sheriff. Sadly, I don't have the B-roll for the exact moment that I captured these, but these 2 photos with the man with the umbrella are my favorite photos of the night and probably the year. Those earlier photos are almost there, but these 2 are exactly what I set out to capture. And it's always a great feeling when things finally work out and you get the photo that you've been hunting for. They were shot maybe 20 meters back from the location that I was shooting in that footage earlier. These are with my Ricoh GR3. The wider angle suits the scene better than the tighter Sony, even though the Sony performs better. I can't exactly decide which one is better, they are only seconds apart. But yeah, I'm really happy with these 2. Just for comparison's sake, I also took a couple of film photos with my film Ricoh. I've talked about these more in another video that is on my channel that I posted about a month ago. You can check that out if you want to see more of it. Okay, I think it's time to start heading back home, or I'll die, but this is awesome. Now, despite saying in the beginning of the video that it was not particularly cold, it is starting to add up a little bit, all of the rain, and also the fact that I'm not exactly dressed for the weather. I'm dressed to be Mr. Cool, because this is Seoul, the most fashionable city in the world. You gotta look cool or they might arrest you. But the heavy rain and the accumulating cold is starting to get to me, and the sunrise is maybe 30 minutes away, so I decided to start heading back slowly. But on the way back, the amount of rain has caused this almost fog-like glow effect that really looks cool. So then, of course, I ended up taking another 20 to 30 minutes of photos in this same location in the Design Plaza. But in my defense, these are at least different angle photos, different type of photos, different conditions. And I'm glad I did, because these are also very cool. And the scene is just looking very futuristic, very almost bizarre. I'm sure the lack of sleep and the extreme cold is starting to affect my perception as well, but it was really just a unique vibe that I really enjoyed experiencing and photographing. Finally, as the sun is starting to come up, there's starting to be this blue light in the sky, more and more light is coming in. I take it as my cue to actually start heading home. I did, of course, still snap some photos on the way home, because everything is looking so cool and photogenic. And these few shots are the last photos of the night. I'm still quite amazed by the amount of good photos that I was able to come up with on this photo shoot. I feel like I basically doubled the amount of good photos that I'd taken probably like for the entire year of 2021 on just this one really successful photo shoot. And I guess it was a combination of a couple of different factors, mainly the conditions. The amount of rain was just absolutely perfect for the type of photos that I like to take. And also just going out in the very early morning was such a unique time for me. It offered such a unique vibe that really suited the type of photography that I like to do. And then, of course, just having all the momentum of basically taking photos almost daily for like the past previous 3 months or so definitely all played a part. And yeah, I'm just grateful for being able to make the trip, and very happy with the photos that I was able to come up with on this photo shoot. But I wasn't done yet. After I got back home, I headed to sleep just for a couple hours, but then I thought I still have a couple of rolls of film. These are high-speed rolls of film. Previously, when I took my Cinestill and Kodak Vision 3, everything above, or everything 800 speed film on a plane, after I shot it, I realized that there was some damage from the airport scanners. Now, I could find out how to fly with the film without damaging it, but then I would have to be the guy like, hey, excuse me, I have some film. Or I could make a fun challenge for myself. What if I shot all of my remaining rolls of film in one single day? Turns out I had about 5 rolls of film. So after getting just a couple hours of sleep, the next video will be me shooting 5 rolls of film in one day and seeing what we can come up with. That was truly the last photo shoot that I did in Korea. Not nighttime photography, daytime photography. So if you want to see that video, stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, yada yada. Anyway, I think it's finally time to end the video. So thank you for watching and see you next time.